Aloha and welcome to Java. Thank you kindly for joining me. It's August 15th, 2024. It's Thursday. Hope everybody's having a good day. I'd like to start off thanking you all. Uh, we've hit with the site over 5,000 subscribers now. So thank you kindly everyone that's out there supporting always for this channel and then also sharing on your media. It helps. So I appreciate you all tremendously. So let's go right in because we've got quite a bit to go over today that I would like to prior to the market open. Starting with the main risk indicator, it is showing a retracement or lowering of the risk to 44.4 right now. So this is a conglomerate of the 10-year yield as well as the relative strength of the dollar. Both of these pulled back. It gave room basically for the markets to breathe. So we've got green pre-markets and then also green in the futures concurring with this. The issue with this is we're also watching the VIX volatility index is up as well as gold and oil. So could see mixed bit of chop day. A little bit later, we're watching basically jobless claims and a little bit more. We'll talk about that in a moment. So fear greed index is now into fear out of the extreme fear. So we've got more people jumping into the market and also more, basically more buyers on that side. And a lot of this is because the July inflation data, they're saying this supported the idea that the Fed is going to cut rates. So yesterday, inflation came down with the core CPI, and the PPI did the day prior. So now the market is just sure that since this inflation is down, the Fed will cut. I think the market personally is overpricing this again, as they generally do. But we're looking at jobless claims and industrial production today, both coming out prior to the market open. The production will be 9:15 a.m., just before it opens. And then we've also got some information Friday, the housing starts and building permits that will be coming out prior to market open. So make sure you are positioned for those prior to close of day. So with that, we've got some more earnings coming out today, reporting genuinely the Chinese companies, JD.com and Alibaba, will be on watch for their retail, to watch their economy, as well as Walmart for the United States, and John Deere, as I was saying yesterday, this for the local, like smaller farming type equipment, and locally, but they're outsourcing now large part of their equipment, and they also cut back on labor, so that cut their costs. So with this, let's go into the stories. Now, I just want to mention that I'm not able to post some things, and I'm getting this symbol here on a lot of things just starting to show up. So if by the time I come out with this and more of those show up, that's why. But I would like to speak about the current Vice President of the United States now has plans for a historic federal ban on corporate price gouging in food and grocery industries. Okay, so two things about this. The very first is that one paired with this one is that inflation is easing, and now she again has an even larger problem with the economy. Key point on this: where is the person who is actually holding the office in charge? They're mentioning her first. I think that's very key. It's part of the psychological language they're coming out with and pushing for this next selection. The more important thing is the quiet part that's coming out loud: price controls. And Greg had mentioned this also. There are price controls coming out, and that never works out well when the government starts to control. You get limited supplies and limited choice. So, anyways, they're starting with that. Okay, so I want to go back to the real estate. UBS and Credit Suisse. Now, this was a big deal back when the bank went down over in Europe, but they've got their fund. They've got to liquidate a certain section of it. So their Swiss fund management business, basically, they have to put the Credit Suisse real estate fund into liquidation. So real estate markets and the banks are the bank's latest step right now. They're trying to unwind this whole thing and close down that portfolio as they are required to do. So since they have to do that, they have to sell most of the liquid assets. to meet, they've got some outstanding 2023 redemption requests, basically the loans, the bonds they sell on this. And they're saying they understand this is an inopportune time in the real estate market, and in particular for commercial real estate, and that this would hurt remaining investors and diminish the attractiveness of the rest of the portfolio, and that this will also likely trigger further redemptions in the spiral. And they're doing this anyways. That's showing the severity of what they need to do in order to liquidate this company. So we're going to see more of this, more banks closing down, and this is how they liquidate this. So with this on the real estate side, residential for the United States, we saw mortgage applications jumped 16.8%, and this is because those rates came down. The problem with this is most of these are refinance, but people didn't just refinance their balance. What they did is they took them to the max again, which is the same thing they did back in 2006, 2007, leading to 2008, so that when that came up, when that time happened, they had little value, basically. They couldn't make the payments and they walked away from it. So we're setting up same issues again. So with this, the United States government is not any better because they've got a debt cost surge over $100 billion than what they had factored in. So basically, they can't do math. They can't do math and they can't manage their money, which is actually our money. And the total debt right now is up $34 billion in a day. So this from Zero Hedge, saying the best part is that people still pretend this can be reversed. We're pretty much on that spiral where it can't be reversed without their new solution, pushing towards central bank digital currency and revaluing. So this again is another way that they are pushing this new system that will be coming in. So with this, I've got a couple of stories here, basically for what I call the real economy, not the one that they say is doing so wonderfully. But we've got shipping companies, and this shows real demand. So huge shipping company, they are affiliated with Pitney Bowes. They're filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy, but they're also liquidating. So they're not restructuring to stay in business, but they're liquidating. We also had these other stories with pizza chain that and other restaurants that are filing bankruptcy. We've got pharmacies that are doing this, NASCAR team even, and grocery brands. So multiples crossway, more bankruptcies coming. It's the new economy. So what economy are we in that's doing very well? Well, call it a war economy, because basically the weapons packages, the defense, the government, those are the sectors that are growing. So with this, there was apparently, it's being reported by the Times of India, that there was call from basically between the ex-president of the United States, Donald T., as well as Bibi Netanyahu. So this call was intended for DT to encourage Bibi to take the deal. Basically, they're saying they're doing this secondhand information, but this was not in the United States mainstream media, because why is this person negotiating this? However, the call came before they've got a ceasefire negotiation coming in place, and this is large scale. So it's going to involve, as this says, officials from Israel, Qatar, United States, and Egypt. So this is a major kind of restructuring. This deal would secure the release of the remaining 115 hostages and also kind of shut the firing. So on the other side, we've got Russia with Ukraine, and that is heating up. So now they attacked Kursk. I'm sure you've heard of this also. So Russia declared emergency, clearing out the rest of that border area. And there's possibility they will be moving on or taking more serious steps. They have said so. So with this, we've also got Ukraine has officially defaulted and they're being downgraded. So don't buy Ukraine bonds. Basically bad investment. So with this, I would like to bring up this story and ask why you think this would be. Now, recently, they have just digitized the draft to make it easier. And the army is now set to expand basic training, fueled by a new recruiting momentum. Now, they're making it sound as if everybody all of a sudden is interested in joining the army. And I personally don't think that's the actual case. So, just to think about why they would be doing this. So, with this, also, I'm sure you're going to be hearing about this, but there are hackers stole the American Social Security numbers. 2.9 billion people. It's pretty much everybody. So, this was a third party company, National Public Data, and they've been scraping the information and they had a major hack. So, always talking about your data is what it's worth. Just a few more things before I let you go into the markets, but Japan having again, a little bit more things going on with them. They had more Fukushima's not done. Another radioactive water leak. Now, it's only stayed within their basement. It's not getting out to the water supplies, but still a problem. They just had another earthquake and small tsunami, but it did not affect this again. They do have typhoon right off their coast. They're canceling other flights and trains. So their economy on the flip side is doing very well with tourism, which is giving them a bolster on their retail side. But now they're suffering a bit between these quote unquote natural disasters. So this is just something of interest. It's a bit of basically an old tale, but they say that oarfish, whenever they see these, they call them doomsday fish because they always show up prior to major earthquakes or events. So I just thought I would print that out. That's what the fish looks like, long blade. So they want to tell you also you're going to hear about this as well because you're supposed to be afraid of this. And so I just want to make sure that you know so you can be ready to be afraid. This mpox is coming out. And yeah, anyway, it's coming. So we had AOC posted something and then she deleted this. And I think both sides of the political spectrum are off their base, but neither one of them care about the middle class or how people are actually doing, because this is actually a call to suppress businesses, keep them closed, keep job losses up, because as she says here, small price to pay to be free from the other side, basically. So keep us closed. So they don't want businesses to do well. It's really quite a terrible stance, in my opinion. So, at any rate, we've got a lot of good things coming. There's going to be a lot of opportunities, but as far as the markets and other things, there is more correction coming prior to this going on. We'll watch those jobless numbers. So, with that, thank you kindly for being with me. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I wish you luck if you're trading. So, until I see you again, my friends, stay free.